Welcome back. Thanks for joining us again on another Yours and Our AM Dynasty presentation. Appreciate having you here this time and every single time on the platform, whether you're listening on Spotify, Anchor FM, Apple Radio, or a multitude of other platforms, or if you're viewing us on the Patreon channel, make sure you subscribe to our Patreon channel as well, or on YouTube. Appreciate having you here. Today, we're going to be reading a news article that we found online that we think is quite relevant to these times. Make sure to like, share, subscribe to our channel. Like, share the video. We're going to be reading a news article we found online. This article was published by the SF Chronicle and written by Lauren Hepler. That's on July 30th, 2022, at 11:45 p.m. The article is entitled, "Here's How Much Money You Need to Make to Rent an Apartment in SF." I'll say it again. Here's how much money you need to make, or here's how much money you need to make to rent an apartment in SF. Ran across this article because the rent is too damn high in the Bay Area and in California in general. The rent is too damn high. So we found this article once again entitled, "Here's How Much Money You Need to Make to Rent an Apartment in SF." Published by the SF Chronicle, written by Lauren Hepler, July 28th, 2022. Let's get right into the article. SF one-bedroom rent drops below Boston, falling to third most expensive in U.S. city. It now takes a full-time income of more than $61 an hour to comfortably afford the rent for an average two-bedroom apartment in the San Francisco metro area. That's far more than other expensive U.S. cities like New York, where it takes $45 an hour on a standard 40-hour per week schedule, and more than triple San Francisco's $16.99 minimum wage, according to a new report by the National Low Income Housing Coalition. The San Francisco metro area, which also includes affluent Marin and San Mateo counties, tops the national list for the highest, quote, housing wage, unquote, or hourly earnings needed to spend no more than the federally recommended 30% income on rent. Number 2 is Santa Cruz, which is out here in the Bay Area if you didn't know, where residents must earn more than $60 an hour to rent an average two-bedroom. In the number 3, San Jose, Sunnyvale, Santa Clara metro area. The figure is around $55 an hour. Quote, "These numbers are just a really clear mirror being held up," unquote, said Alina Harway, Communications Director for the Nonprofit Housing Association of Northern California. Quote, "We're seeing how the economy has created this big gap between those who have and those who don't," unquote. California metro areas where rent requires the highest wage. A new data analysis shows how much renters have to earn to comfortably afford an average two-bedroom apartment. So here we have a graph that shows it has 4 categories, and then it has related statistics in these categories. So the first category is metro area. It shows the area. The second category says wage to afford a two-bedroom. So it shows the wage you have to make to afford a two-bedroom. The third category says average renter wage, which is about the average wage a renter makes to afford a two-bedroom in these areas or categories. Fourth, it has minimum wage, which speaks on the minimum wage of that particular area. So the first category, and the first one, it says metro area, San Francisco. Wage to afford two-bedroom in San Francisco, on average, I'm imagining, $61 an hour and 50 cents. Average renter wage, $65.68. That's the average renter wage that it rents a two-bedroom in San Francisco. That's $65.68. Meanwhile, fourth category, the minimum wage, is $16.99. Santa Cruz. Wage to afford two-bedroom, $60 an hour, 35 cents. Average renter wage, $19.78.
What?
Definitely gonna need some roommates. Fourth category, minimum wage in Santa Cruz, $15 an hour. Nice. In San Jose. These are all Bay Area cities so far. Wage to afford a two-bedroom in San Jose, the average wage is going to be $55.15 per hour. Average renter wage in San Jose, $68 an hour and 20 cents. Minimum wage in San Jose, $16 an hour and 20 cents. Amazing. Santa Barbara. Wage to afford a two-bedroom. That's Southern California, Santa Barbara. $48 an hour and 38 cents. Average renter wage, $21 an hour and 58 cents. Minimum wage, $15 an hour. Santa Ana, Southern California. Wage to afford two-bedroom, $44.69. Average renter wage, $26 an hour and 80 cents. Minimum wage, $15 an hour.
Oh my God.
Oakland. Wage to afford two-bedroom, $43 an hour and 73 cents. Average renter wage in Oakland is going to be $30 an hour and 98 cents. Minimum wage in Oakland, $15.06. San Diego. Average wage to afford two-bedroom apartment in San Diego is going to be $42.92. Average renter wage in San Diego, $26.69. Minimum wage in San Diego, $15 an hour. Oxnard. That's Oxnard, California, Southern California. Average to afford a two-bedroom in Oxnard, that's going to be $42.65. Average renter wage for Oxnard is going to be $22.26. Meanwhile, the minimum wage in Oxnard, $15 an hour. Napa, the wine country, still here in California. Wage to afford a two-bedroom in Napa, $42.62. That's $41.62. Average renter wage in Napa, $22.20. Minimum wage in Napa, $15 an hour. LA, Los Angeles. Average to afford a two-bedroom apartment in LA, $39.31. Average renter wage in LA, $27.41. Meanwhile, the minimum wage in LA is $16.04. Okay, that's giving you an idea of what what the average wage is to afford to rent a two-bedroom apartment, what the average wage is, the wage you need to afford to rent a two-bedroom apartment, and the minimum wage. Okay, so then the article goes on to say, nationwide, Minimum wage earners in 91% of counties are unable to afford a one-bedroom rental, the report found. There is no state, county, or metro area where a person who works one minimum wage job can comfortably rent an average two-bedroom apartment. It's not the first time that Bay Area cities have dominated the coalition's annual report on the stark mismatch between everyday incomes and housing costs. While the new report shows an ever so slightly closing of the gap between what people are making and what they need to make to afford quality housing, the report cautions against comparing figures from different years because of changes in how average rents are calculated. The article goes on to say, now, however, all eyes are on shifts set in motion by the pandemic. After more than 2 years of remote work, migration anxiety, and eviction battles, the Bay Area numbers reflect a widening divide between renters in different income brackets, a lack of home buying options to relieve pressure, and an uncertain role for households still struggling to catch up on COVID rent debt. The report attributes the imbalance to a range of factors, including wage stagnation for low earners, inflation, an uptick in investor landlords, and a shortfall of some 960,000 affordable renters in California. There's also the matter of surging demand for rentals. From the start of the pandemic to mid-2021, around 870,000 renters entered the market, the report noted, some not by choice. Quote, many households entering the market were higher income renters, unquote. The National Low Income Housing Coalition report explains, quote, who may have been priced out of the increasingly competitive home buying market, unquote. The abundance of high-earning renters is most obvious in the tech and professional services-driven San Francisco and San Jose metro areas, where the average renter makes around $65 an hour and $68 an hour, respectively, according to Adjusted Bureau of Labor Statistics data analyzed in the report. Compare that to an average renter income of $31 an hour in Oakland, which has a stronger base of industrial and administrative jobs, or less than $20 an hour in tourism and agriculture-centric Santa Cruz. Landlord advocacy groups contend that in cities with rent control, including San Francisco, the math is more complicated. A July survey by the San Francisco Apartment Association found that average rents are still high citywide, $3,605 for a two-bedroom, or $2,678 for a one-bedroom. But that lower-priced studios in the areas such as Nob Hill or the Tenderloin at San Francisco still rent for less than $1,500. Quote, even though we're not quite post-COVID, the rental market has improved, unquote. Charlie Goss, Government and Community Affairs Manager for the San Francisco Apartment Association, told the Chronicle by email, quote, we do have many members, particularly in the downtown corridor, who are really struggling and who cannot get their vacancies filled, unquote. Nationwide, the report found that persistent unaffordability, quote, disproportionately harms Blacks and Latino households, unquote, because of enduring income disparities and the fact that these households are less likely to own homes. About 30% of white U.S. households are renters, compared with 58% of Black households and 46% of Latino households, according to census data. At first, Oakland seemed like a place of opportunity to Maria Montes de Oca. She moved there more than 2 decades ago after leaving the coastal Mexico state of Jalisco. The rent was a reasonable $750 when her growing family moved 14 years ago into a, quote, supposedly clean, unquote, Fruitvale 1-bedroom that turned out to have a dirty stove and old carpet. She said the carpet stayed the same while the rent climbed to $850, then $950, eventually all the way up to the current rent just over $1,500. Her husband switched jobs to try to keep up, Montes de Oca said, but even a new job cleaning a high-end hotel left little income for food or other necessities for a family of 5. Quote, we were still limited, unquote, she said in Spanish, because every year the rent went up, unquote. The pandemic has also highlighted renters and now former renters in extreme situations. In Alameda County, homelessness has spiked 22% in 3 years for more than 9,700 people on any given night. From San Francisco to the shores of the Delta, tenants have been evicted from garages or boats, marinas that they resorted to living in illegally. Politicians and housing advocates have countered with a range of potential solutions. $2 billion in state funding for affordable housing, new proposed vacancy taxes, federal proposals for more housing vouchers, temporary renter assistance funds, and legal representation in eviction cases. For Harway and the Nonprofit Housing Association, the scale of the proposal solutions still doesn't match the scale of the problem. One clear local way to start to change that, she said, is for residents to get more involved in the state mandated housing planning process known as the Regional Housing Needs Allocation, which calls on the 9 Bay Area counties to plan for more than 440,000 new homes by 2031. It's a process that is already sparking controversy, political maneuvering, and legal threats, and one that she said will take both renters and homeowners like herself to prevent more people from being forced to move away. Quote, if I don't go fight and support any neighbors to have stability, then what's the point? Harway said, quote, I'm not going to have teachers for my son. I'm not going to have anything that makes a community worth living in, unquote. For Montes de Oca, meanwhile, things took an unusual turn. She and her neighbors started to push back 6 years ago against yearly rent hikes with little offered in return. When the pandemic hit, they went on a rent strike. As the mother of 3, it was a daunting prospect, but lawyers and tenant activists got involved. And in June, an agreement was reached to sell the 14-unit building to the Oakland Community Land Trust for $3.3 million. A move that Montes de Oca said will freeze her family's rent, and she hopes deliver long, elusive stability. Quote, it was really 6 years of fighting, of stress, unquote, she said in Spanish. Quote, it wasn't easy, unquote. There were 9 families when the fight started, Montes de Oca remembered. Now, just 2 are left. Alright, that was a news article. Hopefully things could change for the better in the future. That's just a little bit of information. We just wanted to highlight the escalating cost of living here in the Bay Area and California in general. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe to the channel. And thanks for joining us again on AM Dynasty, and we'll see you on the next one.